So while we're doing that, it says, in the year 3069, humans are finally living on Mars. This hot and dangerous planet hosts strange monsters. Thank you very much. Hosts strange monsters, and because life is boring, human has found a new sport: shapeshifting. A shapeshifter jumps into a monster's mouth and reproduces the various shapes of the monster's insides to get out alive. You're a James Thrill Seeker, and you jump to entertain the crowd. And we did it all from scratch. Have a nice day. Game. Close enough. So, let's start with this. Oh, PDB files. Is it supposed to be this screen ratio at all times?
Oh, look at that. The judges are coming today to the number of 3. They will know James on each passage, through each ring, inside the monster's body. To judge him, of course, because they're...
In the year 3069, humans are finally living on Mars. This hot and dangerous planet
Q-U-Q-E-A-D A-W-D-E-D-X-E. I don't quite understand. I don't quite understand these controls.
The weather is clear and sky is blue. The monster
Well,
sure
let's
looks
give it a
dark.
shot and see if I'll actually learn this.
Woohoo!
X. I don't understand. So, am I actually supposed to type those sequence in order? A W D E D E D X. So E X E D.
Each figure will be marked from 0 to 10. Woohoo!
QED? X. AWD. Oh. Okay. E. I don't remember this part. That's a problem.
Oh, look at that. The judge.
ED. ED is straight. AWD, QED, X, E.
The weather is clear and sky.
I don't understand. ED. E. Okay. ED. E. Oh, wow, that was terrible RNG right there. Oh, circle was E, wasn't it?
Woohoo!
Goes a little too fast. It's a little too fast, man.
Woohoo!
Does this go on till infinity? I mean, aside from, like, questionable language here, like, I think the main problem I'm largely having is the whole you have to type in a very specific shape. I don't find that aspect to be especially intuitive. And I also think there's like a small pacing problem too. Alright, well, at least I did get a higher score.
Oh, look at that! Woohoo!
So, a couple of artists, some code, and special thanks to Robert Falk. Ludum Dare 38. Ludum Dare 38. This was made in the future, man. Alright, well, I'm gonna get back to kind of rating this game. Man, well, let's talk about all these categories right here, especially in regards to like innovation, fun, and whatnot. I don't innovation. I do consider also requires a bit of intuition as well, because like you can try to make something that is original, unusual, and different, but ultimately, if there's no sense of practicality behind that line of thinking, I don't think that innovation can be ranked all that high. And in this sense, like I see that you guys were trying to create some unusual. It seemed like you had this idea of, you know, shifting into a specific shape to be able to go into the proper hole. Which, to be fair, we've already seen like 2 different games that already follows that exact same concept. And in this case, your way of innovating that concept was to actually have it type out that word, or type out that shape. And I really commend you guys for coming up with that idea. It's certainly not something I would have come up with, and I see some with a certain level of thought into it. I feel like that would have worked really well. But in this case, I was fumbling for the controls, and I consider myself to be a fairly okay typer that doesn't need to look at the computer all the time. Like, I was really badly fumbling with the controls, typing out the very specific shapes on the keyboard, and to me, that just didn't come to me very intuitively. It also, like, there are places where the spacing between the different gaps were really, really small, and you were expecting me to type in, you know, 4 words in it seemed to be a specific order, but I eventually did figure out that you didn't have to type it down in a specific order. But like that didn't come to me quite intuitively. That made me panic a lot, and I'm not entirely sure I was a fan of that aspect of things. Sadly, I didn't quite have a lot of fun with this game. I don't think it was like, there are very few games where I give fun, like it's so bad it only gets a 1-star level of things. But at the same time, like there was nothing to me in this game that was striking. Nor did it feel like to me that the game was well balanced at all. There was a lot of what I felt like both pacing problems, in the sense that your character moves very slowly, and even as you go through these shapes, they seem to come in at the same amount of interval. And like, you could, granted, a strategy that you guys added in, I don't know whether on purpose or not, there was an ability to slow down your travel through this monster tunnel. And I thought that was actually kind of cool, but at the same time, there's a certain point where I'm just like, there are parts where I felt like, come on, just get over with it, and there are other parts where I thought it was like too fast and I had no way of slowing down. So a little more I guess tutorial on that, more information on what's causing me to slow down versus what's causing me to go fast would have been really appreciated. So at least next time I would have better idea of how to get better control over that variable. The theme, I don't think this was a particularly inspired interpretation of the theme, but it is taking the theme in some direction, so there is that. I give that a 3 stars. Graphics are actually pretty good. I think to me the one part that left me wanting was the animation. I thought the animation could use a lot of work. To an extent, I feel like the Slime Quest game earlier, for example, had much better animation despite having much simpler graphics, right? So the fact that, like, I think the artwork are all well drawn, the characters very well detailed, and there's a lot of small perks and humor that you've added in to the environment, which I liked and really appreciated. You know, especially the Millennium Falcon stuck in the ground. I thought that was a pretty cool, nice little touch there. At the same time, like, the character moves in a physics-based system, which is fine. But then when they go through the hole, it's just like, why did they go through the hole, despite the fact that they were, completely sideways and the hole was in an X shape? That wouldn't have really worked with the character. The whole explosion effect was also, like, you can see the body parts flying, but they're just static images moving across a screen. They don't change the rotation, they don't change the shape of size of it, so there's very little gratification behind that graphic as well. There was also, like, for me, I thought I was expecting to be more shocked by it, but it just came out very stale. So to the artists in the group, I genuinely have nothing but compliments to say. Because it is, the team that you had is incredibly talented. The animation, I feel, is also a very important part of the game, and when that doesn't really reach my expectation, it leaves a lot for me to be desired. So excuse me as I give this whole 3-star thing here. It's not because the art isn't well drawn. It's that the implemented animations, with an exception of the title screen, leaves a lot for me to be desired. The timing on the audio could use a lot of work, in my opinion. it's really simple. It's really repetitive too, to be honest. And I don't know. That seemed to be a strange set of sounds you selected there to me, and it didn't exactly quite fit. With audio, like, you always want to make sure you have a little bit of variety to it, because otherwise, the guy took off. Otherwise, there isn't. It's easy to notice that the same soundbite is being used, and that is a easy way for me to kind of be unimmersed, quickly be booted out of the immersion factor of the game. So I do recommend trying to add a little more variety to your audio next time. Humor, I'm sorry, I didn't particularly find this funny. Using strong language is funny for some people, but it's not for me. So there's that. Mood. I think there was some mood in there. It's not big. It's actually I'm willing to give it one more star for that. Because if anything, there's one thing that I admit that the game does well, and it's aesthetically very consistent. The music also works well too within the environment. So I kind of liked that part of it. It's not exactly meant to go for a very specific narrative. In fact, the narrative is crass and really pointless and stupid. The graphics follows that concept really well, in fact. And in that regard, I think what you guys aimed for, you did well. It was so simple that obviously I am not giving it more than 3 stars right now. But yeah, at least I did think that it was very consistent in many ways. It was just not presented in a way to me that made me think like, wow, that shook me in such a way or anything like that. Overall, 2 stars. I'm thinking that's how I'm averaging this. To be honest, I'm not a fan of typing out the shape of the hole to pass through. While an interesting idea, the game fails to take into account the time necessary to type certain shapes out, leading to a lot of unnecessary frustration. I do think the art is great, and the title animation is smooth. This tells me your team has a set of incredibly talented animators. So I was disappointed that the in-game animation mostly relied on physics. I'm curious how that came out to be. Submit.